Well, hello and welcome to our second episode of Get to Know a Theater. Hope you had a chance to tune into our first episode over at Bremerton Community Theater. We are here at Western Washington Center for the Arts in beautiful downtown Port Orchard, Washington, with director, actor, former board member, and general man about town, Dan Estes. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you very much.
And we have both, well, I kind of appeared here. Greg, you've appeared in multiple shows here at WWCA. It's near and dear to our hearts. We've come and seen tons of shows down here. So we wanted to take a few minutes and introduce some of our viewers who haven't maybe seen a show down at WWCA to what the place is all about. Take a little tour and talk about the history. So, Dan, you've been on the board. You've done a lot of work here, and it sounds like you've actually worked at this theater before it was at this location, right? How did it all start?
So before it became WWCA, it was First On Stage, which was a theater that Jan Ewan developed that was at her church, the Lutheran Church up on Mitchell Street. And they were doing shows probably about 2 or 3 a year. Of course, she was the artistic director there, basically doing little skits for the church services and stuff like that, and then developed into doing bigger productions. They were not necessarily church shows. She was doing big name musicals. They did Into the Woods, which was the first thing I ever saw them do up at the church. So for about 3 or 4 weeks at a time, their whole the altar area, the place where the preacher would be preaching from, would be transformed into some other setting. For example, it was part of a boat scene from Pirates of Penzance, and when it was Into the Woods, it was covered in leaves and everything. So it was kind of interesting for that church to every Sunday come in and see a stage production or see the workings going on of that show, of that current show. Then in about 2001, they decided they had grown and needed to get another space, and they were looking around, and somehow they were able to get into a grant that was able to help them once they found out about this building. There was some concern by some local citizens, I think, that were concerned because they were talking about tearing this building down, and it's actually one of the oldest buildings still alive from back when Port Orchard first got developed.
What was it before it was a theater? What was the building?
So there's a couple of things. I have heard some things, and you guys may have heard other things, and so you guys can share what you've heard. I do know that it was a livery stable prior to becoming a theater. This was years and years ago. And then I know that it was a bar because I actually came to that bar one time on a blind date. So, and the blind date was not successful, and I never came back to the bar. And then the next thing I know, it's a theater, and I'm here all the time.
The bar wasn't successful either, so there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
It's interesting you mentioned a livery stable, because if you think about it, you take the marquee off, use your imagination, the way the posts are out front. And, I mean, you can almost picture it being a livery stable.
It has an Old West kind of facade to the front,
And kind of Port Orchard does. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Port Orchard is actually on the water, where actually the land that we stand on is just stuff that's been filled in to make Port Orchard here. The hill's the only thing that's real.
Right, yeah. A lot of bulkheads, a lot of stilts down here.
And when they first moved in, part of the grant money that they got was to redo the foundation and make it more secure. Unfortunately, that took up most of the money. So the first year, and I wasn't involved when it was here at the first year, but what I was told was that they actually offered blankets because they had no heating in the building. They had no bathrooms, so during the intermission, they were allowed to go to the next building over and use the bathroom over there.
That's dedication.
That is dedication. It's dedication, and dedication from both the people that were performing, but also, especially from the audience members, to come to that.
Yeah, well, theater's mostly over the fall and the winter and the colder months anyway, so I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And it's even with when the air conditioner, the heat is running now. It's even kind of,
Yeah, these are old buildings, but again, it speaks to the dedication, like you said, of the folks behind the scenes and the folks in the seats. And it seats about 72, you said here.
There's 72 seats. And one of the things I want to say about it, we're not a big theater at all, but one of the things that's phenomenal about being on stage when you're in a small theater like this is the intimacy that you have with people. And I think it's also the truth for the audience. actors aren't really supposed to be looking at their audience, but it's hard to avoid it when you're only like 5-10 feet away from them. And I think that just really makes a connection with people. And I think that I love going to theaters that are small just for that intimacy and that connection.
We talked about that when the show that's going on now, Perfect Match, the 4 short comedies, it feels like it's a vaudeville troupe. And the nice thing is there's a lot of interaction, there's a lot of breaking the fourth wall in the show. And it's so natural here because you're in this situation where the seats are right on top of the stage.
Yeah.
And it just makes it a natural fit for shows like that.
Yeah, one of my favorite shows is The Odd Couple. And I came on my birthday several years ago when you directed, and it was awesome. But you feel like you're sitting in the living room with them.
Exactly.
You know, the poker table's going on over here, and they're, they're having a spat over here, and you really feel like you're in the room.
Yeah. I have a tendency when I do the plays that I've done here, I tend to try to create a mirror for people to look into. People will come up to the front of the stage and look right at the audience and act like they're putting their makeup on or doing their hair. And I just always feel that that's just everybody connects with that. They just see this person looking straight at them and then fixing themselves up. And it really is kind of a fun little thing to do. So
what was the first show that you were involved with, both, because I think you started when it was at the church. Mm-hmm. So what was the show there, and then what was the first show that you were involved with here in this building?
So the first show that I was involved with at the church was Pirates and Pit Dance, which I'll be directing here it'll be coming out in September.
Yeah, already rehearsing.
Yeah, we're rehearsing right now. And that was up at the church, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything at that church. It was just kind of a great experience. I think it was about maybe another year or so before it actually moved into this facility, and I wasn't quite involved yet with them. But then I think the first one I did was Fools, and I could be wrong on that, but I think that was the first one I did.
Neil Simon.
A Neil Simon play. It's just a fantastic play. And
starting to see a pattern in your theater career a little bit.
I didn't realize it, but a couple years ago I had done like 3 or 4 in a row, and it was like a Neil Simon plays, and it's like I didn't realize I was doing that.
We talked about that when you were a guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
There are worse things. Yeah, that's okay.
No, he does some good work. So yeah.
Well, and a lot of his sets, like we talked about The Odd Couple, they're small, they're intimate, they're easy to do. And in a space like this, for those who haven't been in the theater, you do walk in and get the feeling of a black box.
Yeah.
And generally sets are built and rooms are created, things like that. Curtains are used. And you really... I'm always impressed.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with the creativity, with what people are able to do with this small space. And things like Pirates, things like, Little Shop of Horrors, they always do Rocky Horror Picture Show, that type of thing. Stuff that you wouldn't, Fiddler on the Roof, that you wouldn't think of a black box space for. And, speaks to the creativity and the determination of the people involved.
And I attribute a lot of that to Jan Ewan, who started the process. When she brought it over here, and we've talked about this before, I just think that her vision of things is that what can I put in the space and not how can I make something small for the space? How can I bring something small in? She's always thinking about the big picture, and her daughter Becca Ewan is the same. I mean, they both can say, hey, we can put on anything here. Mm-hmm. And we don't have the fly system, we don't have curtains that are coming up and down, we don't have a bunch of walls that we can actually build here, but we're able to do enough that it really, the shows come out really well. And I think the people that come see them are impressed, like you say, about, wow, that's not this little dinky black box show. That is a real production of a show. So,
well, to that point, when we were doing Beginner's Goodbye, which is Jan's original, adaptation of the novel that we did here a couple of years ago, I remember her talking through, looking at the stage, and we had to have a house where a tree fell into the house, and we had to have a restaurant over here, and watching her walk through that in this small stage, and then watching it actually happen when it got built, and the kinds of things that she was able to do with that. And then we did, Pippin and Mary Poppins, where you've had huge ensembles on the stage. You had, 15, 20 chimney sweeps dancing around, and it never seems like it's overcrowded. And then Wizard of Oz, I remember that some of the creativity there where, during the tornado, they just turn the lights out and you have these fluorescent, buildings and things like that floating through the air. So some of the creativity to take advantage of the small space and use it to creatively tell stories is really phenomenal.
And I again, and I'm not trying to, I don't want people to think I'm putting Jan on this pedestal, but what she has done is taught a lot of us who are doing directing now, and a lot of us who are continuing in our acting, how we can expand our vision of stuff. So I still tend to do black box shows. I'm going to be doing Pirates, which is not a black box show. I've done it before in other theaters, but this is a smaller one. I'm excited about doing it, and because I think I've been around this theater long enough, I realize you can do almost anything here. You don't have to think of it as a black box anymore. So that's really good.
Yeah, and we've got the theater for the fall, the first half of the fall, winter, and 2022 schedule planned. So it's going to be Pirates September, and then Love Letters, which is a very small cast. Which
you're involved with.
Yes, I'll be assistant directing. I'm flattered. Dan asked me to assistant direct. I'm really excited about that. Small crew, two actors on stage, and we're going to do some creative things with that. But again, perfect, intimate type show for this type of a space.
Perfect for the space.
And then another big show, the best little Christmas pageant ever. So lots of opportunities for the kids and the whole family to come in. And if you haven't, WWCA.us, there's information on auditions. There won't be any children's programs going on this summer just due to COVID and things still kind of being partially shut down. But keep your powder dry for next year. And the Christmas pageant, lots of roles for the young ones too. So
speaking of intimacy, I think we talked about 72-ish seats in here.
Yes.
But, in Haunted Mansion speak, there's always room for one more. So I think before we go out and take a tour, and maybe we'll run into this, but let's hear about the other occupant of WWCA.
So every actor will tell you in almost every theater that things go missing. And it's usually blamed on some spirit somewhere. Some spirits moved my prop. I can't find my prop. I can't find my costume. I can't find this.
a likely story.
A likely story, yeah. Well, that's what people will say to you when it's happening to you, but you really believe something's happened, right? And I've experienced it here where I have said, I've come out from backstage, said, my prop's not there. The director says, go get it. I just put it on the table. It's not there. Then when everybody goes back and looks, all of a sudden it's right there. And you go, okay, somebody's messing with me. But so everybody has these beliefs. Well, we actually had a company call us up and say, hey, we'd like to come out and see if we can find any ghosts in your building. And we thought, well, that's kind of sounds fun. And so 5 of us, a couple kids, and then there were 3 adults, all board members, came to the theater at night with this crew. They set up all their stuff, and we didn't stay the entire night. We were here till about 2 or 3 in the morning, looking for ghosts and watching their little projections and their little camera things. And we saw lots of orbs, which immediately made us think we had tons of ghosts in here. We were disappointed to find out that they thought they were just dust, but we're in our heart we felt like there's something here, but we don't know for sure.
Well, let's go take a look around the theater and see who we bump into then. All right, well, here we are in the upstairs area at WWCA, and this area really doubles as a lot of things. Wardrobe, kind of green room occasionally, and prop storage, as you can see. There's Audrey, too.
Yeah, we just thought about that downstairs.
Yeah, our ill-fated attempt at a Little Shop of Horrors shut down by COVID. But there she lies.
We still have the plan.
Now, Dan, you mentioned that was on loan from another theater?
Yes.
We were talking about the whole community of theater, right?
Yep. And this is, this is rented. Sorry, this is not a loan.
Okay.
Rented. Although I don't think that we've had to pay for it because we haven't got to do the show, and he has not asked for it back yet. So he needs to come pick it up.
You don't see anything. Nothing to see here. Stand a little closer together.
Yeah.
So as you can see, lots going on. And this is actually downsized. During COVID, they gave up their storage facility nearby.
We had 2 right next door, but it was costing so much money, and we decided that we had a garage sale, so we made some money from that, which was nice, gotten rid of a lot of the excess stuff. A lot of that stuff that was still usable was brought back over here. This area has a lot of costumes as well. Every little space we have, we use for something.
So what rooms do we have up here? Because we've got the main room where we've got all these costumes. Then I know back there's another kind of closet area with more costumes.
And down this hallway on this side over here, we have 2 dressing rooms, one for the men and one for the women. In the far back, we have a lot of our props, and then there's even a prop room that's even got some of the smaller things that we keep. And actually, that way, we have our wig room. We actually have a wig room.
Hats and all kinds of
Hats
stuff
from
up here.
church,
Yeah,
yes.
it's always amazing all the stuff that collects.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, the garage sale was fun. I took quite a few things home,
Oh, good.
actually.
Good.
And a lot of history up here, too. There's casts of tons of different shows. I don't know how many up here. They've all written their names, little messages, funny little inside jokes, and they just cover the walls. We'll get a few
I
shots
think
and
that's
share
a
those.
kind of a common practice in a lot of theaters where they'll just have, a place for you to sign your name to say, hey, you were here and you did the show. So
Yeah.
we got quite a few of them.
Yeah, and it's nice for some of the kids because I'm seeing some of the kids' names here of people who are now gone on to college and things like that can come back here and say, hey, I was in that show,
Yeah.
5-6 years ago.
Well, let's head downstairs, take a look at the stage area itself,
Okay.
and maybe we can take a peek at the set they have down there for the One Acts.
Okay, look at
And here we are in the green room at WWCA, and not only a spot for actors to prepare and take a breath, but also a place to store some of these amazingly, we were just looking around some of these creative props that have been built and accumulated over the years.
Over here we have all the props for the current show, but because we lost a lot of our space for storage, you can't see it, but there's a cow over here from Into the Woods, and there's a tree over here from Into the Woods, and we have little Audrey back over there, and a dentist chair from our show that we didn't get to do. So
Yeah, maybe one day.
we will. I
Yeah.
think so.
But we were talking also earlier how you just can't get rid of some of this stuff. It's so well made. It's
Yeah.
it's been used in so many
It's
shows.
unique, and it's like you're not going to find this, and you're going to have to rebuild the whole thing. And yeah, so it's a lot easier just to hold on to some of these things. And hopefully down the line, when we become a really big theater, we'll have a whole room that's just storage for everything.
That's right. That's right.
We hope.
Well, and we're going to move out. Like you said, this is some of the props and things they're going to be using in the One Acts that are currently on stage here at WWCA. Let's sneak back out to the main area, and I'll hold your horses, and we'll take a look at one of the set pieces. And here we are on stage at WWCA. As you can see, one of the set pieces, really the backdrop for all 4 of the One Acts that are currently showing here at WWCA. A perfect match. Make sure to come down and see them. Directed by the talented and lovely Christiane Jacobson, a real powerhouse in theater around here. We're so glad to have her. And of course, Gary Fetterplace, also active in many of the shows. Our friends Kelly and Terry McCauley and others. And it's just a great show. We've all seen it. Check out Greg's review on Facebook, and make sure to come down. It runs for a couple more weekends. Tickets are only $10. So
it's a perfect way to roll back in the theater.
Yeah.
It's a lot of laughs. I mean, we all need laughter. Coming up, being stuck at home for 16 months, coming back in the theater, getting some laughs is the perfect way to come back.
yeah, exactly. And if you haven't been here before, make sure to come. You can see, what they do with a small space. It's really pretty incredible. So, and it's a wonderful opportunity to come down and support your friends and neighbors and theater here in our community in Kitsap. So,
Absolutely.
and Dan, thanks again for joining us. Again, your shows, you've got a couple coming up. Pirates of Penzance later in the fall.
Yeah, Pirates of Penzance is in September. I think beginning of September 10th, exactly.
Yeah.
Musicals run for 5. Is it room for 5 weekends like these?
No, they're changing it.
Okay.
I believe now. I think you could get this changed, and you could check with the board on me with this. But I believe it's 4 weeks now for a musical and 3 weeks for a non-musical.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think
So
that's how
shorter
they're
runs.
doing.
Yeah, again, we just don't know what the fall will look like.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
everything stays open, but
Just
precautionary.
keep a look at the website. Give us a call if you have questions. We should be able to answer them.
Yeah, we'll keep tracking it on our show too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So WWCA.us. So WWCA.us. You can come check them out and jump online. Information about auditions, the current show going on, A Perfect Match, Night of One Acts. You'll have a great time. Come down, check it out, and thanks for watching here on Get to Know Theater on Heilman and Haver. Dan, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.